Hi there guys, Coach Rob coming at you from Rob Brett's Fitness and Performance with your tidbit of the day. Today we're going to just do a quick overall review of what I would call, most people would call, one of the most primal movements that we can do, that all of us humans have to do every day. Whether you lift weights or not, you perform this movement. And it is not the squat. Because there's plenty of humans out there that don't squat at all through their entire day. They never hit this position. They might sit in a chair, but that's not a squat. That's actually putting our hips in a very bad position. All of us sit too much. I don't care who you are, you probably sit just a little too much throughout the day just because of work, driving, and things like that. We can all be more active and have better hips. What we're going to talk about today is the deadlift. And the reason why this is such a super primal lift is you pick things up every day. Everybody does. Whether you're picking your kid up, whether you're picking a book up from the ground, whether you're picking a bucket up, whether you're picking your clothes up off the ground, we perform deadlifts. And a lot of people get injured doing this because they do things in everyday life and they're not aware of their posture, of their core, of their hips. They just turn, they grab something, they twist, bam, they throw their back out, and then they blame the movement and not themselves. And it was the way they moved during that movement. So what I'm going to bring you to today is just a quick overall review of the conventional deadlift and the sumo deadlift. A couple little tweaks to help you improve your back posture, get the lifts correctly, and just an overview of those lifts. Here we go. All right, guys, let's talk about that conventional deadlift, the typical deadlift, the closer stance deadlift, whatever some people might call it. With this one, our feet are going to be at our hip width here. We don't want them at shoulder width, hip width, and the arms will be outside of the legs. What's super important for conventional and sumo is a good braced core and posterior chain. The core is this whole area in here, the back and everything. That should all be tight anytime we're lifting something. We always want to be safe, okay? Remember, move safe, move strong, move well. They all complement each other. You move safe, it's going to lead to good, strong, functional movements, which is going to lead to you moving well in everyday life, and that's what we want. We don't want to just be strong and badass in the gym. We want to move well, add longevity to our lives, and make everyday life easier. So that's what we're doing. That's what fitness is all about. So right now, conventional deadlift. Always want to be tight. I'm going to show you one or two just to start it off, then we'll review it. So I'm here, I'm setting up, I'm going to get myself tight, setting my hips up, hinging good and flat. Everything rises at once. And back down. Good, just like that. The breathing in that will differ depending on what you're doing. I was taking a breath at the top to return it, so just showing you good, nice, slow reps. A lot of people take a big breath, stand up, and then take it back down. Breathe in the bottom. As long as you're breathing in safe positions, it's okay. We don't want to be picking it up to here and then breathing out because the core is going to collapse, all right? We need to hold that breath till the very top, then we can brace for the negative, okay? So we're always bracing. Core, it's got to be safe here. That's number one, which leads me into number two. One of the biggest things you see with deadlift, and when you're watching videos, you always see people say, ooh, look at his back, or look at her back, or look at that person's back. That is number two, is that big, rounded back. Now, a rounded back is different than a slightly arched back, okay? You're going to see a lot of power lifters, world's strongest men, and people that have set phenomenal deadlift records lift with a slightly arched back. That is totally okay. Their bodies are trained for it. The back isn't rounded or compromised. They're used to it, and they're still in a strong position. They're not jerking into that position or being pulled into that position by the weight. They're controlling the weight. They're not allowing the weight to control them, and that is huge. So, big thing for the conventional deadlift here is feet at shoulder width. When we go down, I like to train people to go down and descend to that bar like you're going to pick it up. So what I'm going to do is take a big breath, tighten my core, bracing it like I'm getting punched. I'm going to hinge my hips and my knees, sit them back, and come down and grab that bar just like this. Butt above parallel, back, almost perpendicular to the ground, but not, or parallel to the ground, I'm sorry, but not quite, slightly angled up. That bar will be tight to the shins or within an inch of the shins. Big thing to remember is everybody's body is different. Everybody's sled up is going to differ just slightly. Your deadlift may not look exactly like mine. That does not mean you're doing it wrong. If you're keeping a tight core, keeping a flat back, controlling the weight, driving the ground away, as I like to say, you're going to be fine, okay? Everybody's a little different here. We all want to be perfect, but each person's perfect is a little different, okay? So we're walking to this bar, we're setting up. Big thing is that hip hinge, which I will show you a drill then with a P.V.C. or broomstick that helps you get that hip hinge while keeping the flat back. That can be tough for many people, especially if you have a job where you're like this all the time. This just becomes foreign to the body and can be tough. You might be able to hold it standing up, or right when those hips hinge, boom, it collapses. So that's something you may want to work on. There is a drill in here for that. So I'm going to set up. My feet are going to be at hip width. My arms will be slightly outside of my knees, grabbing the bar. A big thing I'm going to think about when I bend down and grab that bar, I'm going to take a big breath and brace my core, but I'm also going to squeeze my shoulders back and then down. What I like to think is squeeze the shoulders back and then tuck your lats into your back pockets. All right? We don't want to shrug up like this, okay? We want to be back and down, good and tight. Brace that core, everything tight. It's going to help us keep a good flat back. So I'm setting up, feet at hip width, I'm grabbing the ground with the feet, I'm crunching my big toe and my heel together, creating that slight squeezing arch into the ground. I don't want to arch too much and drive my knees out like that, but I want to grab the ground, I want to be secure. I'm going to take a big breath, brace my core, I'm hinging my hips back slightly, loading the hamstring, knees bend, I'm coming down, grabbing the bar right outside the knees. Everybody's going to be a little different with that width. I like my bar right against the shin. Again, you can be about an inch away. As long as that bar doesn't control you, depends on your levers. So I'm here, big breath, shoulders back and down, and I'm just going to pick it straight up, drive the ground away, and back down. And again, driving the ground away, squeezing the butt. Everything rocks out once. Hips, shoulders, knees, back down. That's a great deadlift right there. So everybody's will be a little bit different. The biggest thing is staying tight. So from this view, what it would look like is here, shoulder width, hips hinging back, good and flat, tight core. Taking a breath, I'll take another breath before I lift. I'm creating tension on this bar. Shoulders back in the back pocket, tension on the bar. Picking it up. Same thing on the way down. Shaving the legs, taking hair off. Back down. Good job. Remember, we don't want to take skin off. We want to shave those legs and take hair off. Always breathe like you're going to get punched. Always tight. So again, a slight round is okay. As long as we're not here, okay? But if you're here, just a slight little bit of roundedness, that's okay. But again, I'm not jerking into that position. I'm not bending down and setting up good and then shooting my hips up and pulling, okay? One of the best cues I've found to keep that from happening is thinking about driving the ground away. This right here is a wall. You're not going to pick the wall up. This is a wall. The only thing that can move is the ground. It's like one of those old, temples you see in the movies of like Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like a booby trap or something. And the only way to get out is we got to create space between this by pushing the ground down. Is it easier to push the ground away like this? Or by grabbing that bar and driving the legs down? That second way, right? Just looks stronger. It looks like I'm using my legs instead of trying to pull the space and create the space with a pull. I'm now driving the ground away to create that space so I can get onto that bar. That's just a good way to think of it, a good little cue. Oh yeah, he's right. Grab the bar and think about pressing down on the ground instead of picking that weight up, all right? Always in control of that weight. We want it tight to the body. We don't want to push it away from us or pull it into us too tight. We don't want bleeding shins. Tiny bit of skin coming off is okay, but we shouldn't bleed, okay? Thinking about taking hair off, like a lady shaving. They don't want big scabs. They just want the hair off. Good smooth legs, that's what we're trying to do, but with a barbell, all right? So again, good strong hips, big breath, shoulders back, Grabbing that bar, eyes in a neutral position, but slightly elevated, quads and everything are engaged, squeezing, push the ground away, everything locks at once, good squeeze in that core, shoulders are still engaged, taking it back down and spinning, knees coming forward slightly. You will have a slight angle in those shins towards the bar, but everybody's a little different. Some people may have a more vertical shin. I have long levers, my arms and my legs, so my knees are going to come forward over that bar. Another good thing to remember is our shoulders should be right over that bar or up to about 1 inch in front. My shoulders tend to sit slightly in front of the bar, but again, I have longer levers. That does not mean the bar is pulling me that way. What we don't want is this bar way out in front of us like this, or our shoulders way out here making us toesy. You can see me coming onto my toes. And then what you'll see is I'll pick it up on my toes, and you can kind of see that bar wants to pull me forward, right? That's the weight controlling me. Another thing we don't want is we don't want to be sitting back with such vertical shins that when I pick this up, I'm falling backwards, all right? That's the bar controlling me again. I'm going to keep that weight right over my midfoot, and then the bar weight and my body weight are actually going to complement each other as I'm standing up. So again, I'm here, good straight pickup, everything locking out at once. I'm controlling that bar, shoulders right over top, squeeze, big breath, brace. Everything locks out at once, and back down, staying tight. Boom. Excellent, that's perfect. That is your overview of the conventional deadlift. Now, I'm going to go into a little P.V.C. drill for you. Get that back awareness, then we'll talk about that sumo deadlift, baby. All right, guys, before we move on to that sumo deadlift, I'm just going to give you a very good drill. It's going to help you keep that back good and tight, or as tight as you can. Again, if we have a little bit of just slight arch on that deadlift, like this, and this is how I tend to deadlift. So if we're not perfectly flat, but we're slightly like here, that's totally fine as long as that tension is on that back. I can have a slight roundness here. As long as everything is good, you can see everything's locking out at once at the top. What we don't want is that big start here and pulling into a collapse, or even getting to the knees and then seeing that collapse. And I don't want to do it too great there just because there's an injury risk with that. We don't want that full collapse, but I wanted to show you a little bit of what that looks like, and it'll be literally like this. You know, and you're rolling out, which can be very, very detrimental to our posterior chain. So a good drill, if you're someone that anytime you try to push your hips back or squat or anything like that, your back just goes like this, it could be back awareness, could be your core conditioning or core stability. It could just be, you know, super tight hamstrings can cause a lot of gnarly things to happen in the hips and the core area. So you may need to mobilize. A great test is grabbing a broomstick or a P.V.C. and I'm going to put it over my shoulder and slide it down my back and reach behind my back and grab it. I'm going to set up at my deadlift or clean with, and I'm going to keep this against my back. I'm going to hinge the hips and bend the knees slightly and bend over. Keeping this in contact with my back the whole time. What we don't want is this. See that? See the difference? Here, here. We don't want that. That's bad deadlift. This, good deadlift. Here, and again, bending the knees as the hips hinge and drive back slightly, and bending over, knees come forward. And I'm practicing my deadlift and how I reach down to pick up the bar for this. That's why you see me bending those knees and doing it exactly like I'm doing. Almost coming down to my deadlift position here. And back up, everything locks at once. And down, and back up, everything locks at once. You can also practice it just good morning style. Just thinking about keeping that in contact. I'm also a big believer in switching your arms too, not just doing one side, because that can switch up your neuromuscular connectivity. That could throw you off a little. So we're here, keeping in contact with that whole back. Again, mimicking how I pick up that bar for the deadlift. And we don't want this, that's bad. Tighten up, and you can even practice that. Round out, tight. Oh, that's what I want to feel. Don't want to feel that, want to feel that. If you don't have a P.V.C. or a broomstick, but you have a buddy, have them stick your arm right up your spine and tell them to squeeze it. Tell them to squeeze that spine and relax. Squeeze that spine and relax. So that's a great one, just to get that posterior chain good and flat. Now we're going to go to the sumo deadlift. A lot of the same things that the sumo hold true with the conventional deadlift. So that one will be fairly quick. We'll review the stance, the slight differences in the pulls, and then you guys are ready to go have some fun improving your deadlifts. All right, we are on that sumo deadlift now. So a lot of the same things hold true for this one as I mentioned in that deadlift. The biggest thing is the stance difference. We're gonna be a lot wider on this. So both lifts are very posterior chain dominant. This one's gonna be a little more so just because of that wide stance. Bar is gonna be in tighter, and our butt tends to be a little bit higher, which is gonna light up that lumbar, those glutes, those hamstrings just a tad more. Another big thing is the farther out your toes are turned, the less quads are involved. So we never want a sumo like this. We always want like that 30-ish, 25-degree angle. Not quite as far as the squat, which is, 10, 15, 20 for most people. We want to be a little wider. We still do want some quads in there. Remember, we want to be able to drive the ground away, even on this sumo. Driving the ground away keeps the bar tight. So one of the biggest differences with this one, I mentioned it in the conventional deadlift, some people will have more vertical of a shin. With the sumo, almost everybody will have a vertical shin just because of how those hips are opened up. The feet are a lot wider. But again, everybody is a little different. So, big thing here is, again, wide. Our hands are going to be inside the legs. Conventional, we're outside, hands and arms inside. The width of your hands isn't a big deal. Some people like to go double thumb like that. I like to go just inside the knurl here. Depends on the bar you got. That's just my preference. Your arm width, your arm length, leg length, and all things are going to play into this a little bit. So I like to set up with my heels just like 6 inches outside my hips. Everybody's a little different. Some people will be a little closer. Depends on your height. I'm a shorter guy, but I have long limbs. So I actually look kind of weird with the sumo because my feet are so wide. But that's totally okay. It's going to be that same hip hinge as the conventional deadlift. I want to keep that back and flat, driving the butt back, I'm coming down, and I'm grabbing that bar. Now, one thing you're going to notice is on this, my hips are higher, my shins are a lot more vertical. I'm going to shave those legs and stand right up. Remember, the goal is everything locks out at once. So I don't want to shoot my butt up and then pull it like that. Everything rises at once. Squeezing the butt, driving the ground away, standing tall. Another important thing, just like that conventional deadlift, good, flat, tightened, secure back and core, okay? Always thinking about sucking those lats down in the back pocket, staying tight, and sucking that subscapular together. So again, we don't want to shrug up, we want to shrug back and down. Put those lats in the back pocket, good, tight, squeezed core. So we're here, wide stance, going to look a lot like the other deadlift, just a lot wider of a stance, still bracing that core, driving the ground away. So I'm here, eyes are going to be in that neutral position. I have good vertical shins. Bar will be against the shins for this one. In the conventional, some people will be up to an inch away. As I mentioned, this one you're going to be tight and shaving those legs. So we're here, grabbing that bar, big breath, bracing, shoulders, lats in the back pocket. Everything locks out at once, taking it back down the same way I came up. Shoulders stay back. A lot of times on this, you'll see people round their shoulders in, staying back. Big chest. Shaving those legs. Good vertical shins. Driving them down the way. One thing you'll notice, I'm moving the weight. The weight isn't moving me. Any movement, you should control that weight. Shouldn't be pulling you back and forth. When I hinge my hips, that bar is not coming out in front of me and pulling me forward. It's going straight down. I have control of it. I'm keeping it in that center line so that my body weight behind me and that bar weight in front of me are countering each other and complementing each other. I'm not fighting one or the other. I'm not trying to pull the bar back or push it forward. I don't feel myself falling back or forward. Trying to find that good balance of straight up, straight down. Again, shaving those legs. You may see if you watch deadlift videos, big power lifters and stuff, they chalk their legs. That's how tight they keep it. And sometimes you'll see blood on their shins, but for the most part, you just see a little red. They're shaving those legs, keeping it tight, but not pulling it back into themselves. So I'm going to show you it from the back view, and that's going to be about it for the sumo deadlift. Remember, a lot of the same things hold true. Lats, back squeeze, You're not going to get as much of that back pocket engagement as I'm talking about, but I want you thinking about that because I want that back tight and secure. Again, a slight arch is okay. You're not going to see that as much in the sumo, but it is okay as long as we're not fully rounded out. You're tight, secure, and you're not tugging into that deadlift, okay? We always want to tighten up and pull it smooth off the ground, no jerking. So here we go, this is from the back view. Again, I like to be good and wide, toes about 2 inches from those plates, 30-degree angle, hinging the hips back, and then sitting down as I come. Knees are driving forward, but they're still nice and vertical. Grabbing inside the normal where I like to grab. Big breath, everything tight. Lift off the ground. Drive the ground away, everything locks out at once. Back down. I'm doing some little off breathing here because I'm talking. But typically you want to breathe, big breath. Back down. Big breath. If you can, let the air out up here. Big breath. Do not breathe out and then descend the weight, okay? We want that core good and tight. I'm taking that breath at the top mostly because I'm talking and I don't want to, go black or anything. Even though it is a light load, that can happen with time under tension. So you're always breathing and staying tight, even on that conventional deadlift. Tightening everything up. So conventional, down, lats back in the back pocket, subscapula squeeze together, driving the ground away, squeeze, and back down. Again, that breath is helping me brace that core like I'm going to take a punch. All right, always bracing like you're taking a punch. That is the sumo deadlift, guys. I hope that quick overview gave you a lot of information, helps you improve your deadlift. Remember, that back and core is super important. Use that P.V.C, use that broomstick. Grab a buddy, use their forearm, whatever you got to do to keep that posterior chain active and safe. No matter what you do or who you are, you deadlift every day. Anytime you're picking something up, your kid, groceries, anything like that, you're technically deadlifting. Be aware, be safe, move safe, move strong, move well, as we say here at Rob's Fitness and Performance. We always want to move safe, which is going to lead to strong movements, and strong movements in the gym lead to moving well in everyday life and staying injury-free. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please feel free to share it. Give me a like. Remember to subscribe so you can get the next TidBit notification right when it's posted. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next time. And as always, stay fit.